You know, it really doesn't matter if you've been driving for 20 years or just 20 days. Sharing the road safely is a skill that we all have to keep working on. It's not just about passing a test, right? It's about navigating this really complex, shared space every single day. So let's dive into this and see how a pretty simple change in mindset can make a world of difference. This right here, this isn't from some movie. Nope. It's the real world outcome of a scene that plays out at intersections everywhere all the time. You've got a van, driven by Walter, who's in a rush to make a left turn. And you've got a motorcycle, ridden by Jody, who's just heading straight through. They both think they've got enough time, and they are both wrong. So how in the world does a totally routine drive turn into something that changes lives forever? Well, it boils down to a conflict over one single patch of pavement. Let's really break down what went wrong here. What's so wild about this is how both drivers played a part, even though only one was legally, at fault. Walter was rushing and just didn't see Jody. That's a huge error. The law says he has to yield. But, and this is a big but, Jody also made a super dangerous assumption. Yeah, she had the right of way, but she just assumed Walter saw her. She didn't plan for the possibility that he was completely oblivious. At the end of the day, the crash happened for one simple reason. Two vehicles tried to be in the exact same spot at the exact same time. So the solution, it's not just about memorizing who has the right of way. It's about building a new mental habit to make sure the space you're about to drive into is actually, well, empty. And this brings us to the heart of what we're talking about today. This simple but really powerful framework called See, Think, Do. Trust me, this isn't just another driving tip. It's a whole mental process that can help you steer clear of conflicts before they even have a chance to start. It all breaks down into 3 easy steps. First, you see. And I mean really see. This is about actively scanning your entire environment for anything that could be a hazard, not just, staring at the bumper in front of you. Next, you think. You take in what you just saw, you remember the rules, and you figure out the absolute safest move. And finally, you do. You put that decision into action, using your speed, your steering, and the space around you to get through safely. See, think, do. We're going to use this for everything that follows. Okay, first up, let's apply this new mindset to the most vulnerable people on our roads. I mean, think about it. When you're behind the wheel of a 2-ton metal box, your responsibility to see, think, and act carefully around people walking, biking, or on a motorcycle goes way, way up. They don't have airbags or a steel cage to protect them. This right here, this might be the single most important rule of the road. It is not about who is right or who is wrong. It is always 100% the driver's job to do everything in their power to avoid hitting a pedestrian. Even if that person steps out where they shouldn't, your responsibility as a driver is absolute. So where does this apply? Well, pretty much everywhere. You have to yield in any marked crosswalk. You have to yield at any intersection, even if there are no lines painted on the road. You have to yield anytime you're turning, and you have to yield when you're pulling out of a driveway or an alley. These are moments where pedestrians own the road, period. And what about cyclists? The rules are incredibly specific here. It's not just a vague, give them some room. The law spells it out. On roads where the speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour or less, you have to give them at least 1 full meter of space. On faster roads, that bumps up to 1.5 meters. A good way to picture it? Think about the length of a pool noodle. Keep that distance. Oh, and here is a huge one. It's one of the most common ways cyclists get seriously hurt: dooring. Before you even think about swinging your car door open into the street, you absolutely must do a shoulder check. A cyclist can pop up in your blind spot in a split second, and opening your door into their path, well, it can be absolutely catastrophic. And with motorcycles, the stakes are just terrifyingly high. More than half of all crashes that involve a motorcycle end in injury or death. Let that sink in. They are so small, so fast, and offer pretty much zero protection. Which is exactly why that see, think, do mindset is so critical when they're around. Okay, let's shift gears from the vulnerable to the absolute giants of the road. Big trucks and trains, they operate under a totally different set of physical laws than your car does. Understanding that and respecting it is the key to staying safe around them. If you remember one thing from this section, make it this. It's a simple rule of thumb. Big trucks have enormous blind spots on all 4 sides. So if you're driving next to or behind a truck and you can't see the driver's face in their big side mirror, guess what? They can't see you either. You are invisible. It's on you to stay visible. And there are a few other specific dangers to watch for. First, the squeeze play. A big truck has to swing out wide to make a right turn. Never ever try to sneak by on the right side. You will get squeezed against the curb. Second, they can slow down really fast using their engine brakes, which means you might not see any brake lights come on. And finally, never, and I mean never, cut in front of a truck that's slowing down for a stop. They need every single inch of that space to stop that massive weight. Now, when it comes to trains, our brains can actually play tricks on us. Because they're so huge, a train often looks like it's moving way slower than it really is. It's a super dangerous optical illusion. A train will always win a fight with your car, and it cannot stop for you. All right, our next group of road users are all connected by one thing: flashing lights. Whether it's a bus, an ambulance, or a construction crew, those flashing lights are a signal that demands a very specific and very immediate reaction from you. Okay, here's something that trips people up all the time: the difference between a school bus and a city bus. For a school bus, if you see those red lights flashing, all traffic coming from both directions has to come to a complete stop. End of story. For a public transit bus, the rule is different. If the speed limit is 60 kilometers an hour or less, you've got to yield and let them pull back into traffic. Now, this next rule applies to any stopped vehicle with flashing lights. We're talking police cars, fire trucks, tow trucks, you name it. If the posted speed limit is 80 or higher, you must slow down to 70. If the speed limit is below 80, you have to drop down to 40. And, this is key, if you are in the lane right next to that vehicle, you have to move over a lane if it's safe. And just a quick but super important reminder about construction zones: those lower speed limits they post, they are in effect 24/7. Doesn't matter if you see workers or not. And oh yeah, traffic fines in those zones are doubled. They are not kidding around, and it's all for everyone's safety. So, as we start to wrap this up, let's bring it all back home to the main idea. Look, we've talked about a lot of rules, but safe driving is so much more than just a checklist. It's about developing a constant state of awareness. This really says it all, doesn't it? The road isn't your road. It's a shared system. The actions of every single person, from the person crossing the street to the trucker hauling a massive load, it all affects everyone else in that system. Your choices create ripples. So I want to leave you with this final, really powerful question. Just think for a second. How would you feel if you injured or killed someone while you were driving? What kind of a difference would that make to the rest of your life? The whole point of See, Think, Do isn't just about avoiding a ticket. It's about making sure you never, ever have to find out the answer to that question. Drive safe and drive with awareness.